So just going through some of these blog posts, like I said in the previous video, and a lot of these videos I do talk about, or these blogs, I talk about sports, but I've mentioned before, sports, the reason sports are so significant is because they're synced up to other events that are going on, such as, like I said, the Dakota Access Pipeline stuff was going on, and then we got the Indians in the World Series, you know, the Patriots were in the Super Bowl just after 9/11, stuff like that. They're synced up to these, the media is synced up to the sports leagues are synced up to the media. And think about how many people in the world worship sports. It's their everyday life thing. If they don't have sports, their day just completely sucks. I used to be one of them people. So, and sports are just so much easier to cover because I watched them for so long. I don't know everything about sports, but it's easier to relate to people. So, if you're new to the channel, I talk about gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words, and it is something that is used by the people who rule over us, the people who, you know, create our media stories, the people who script our sports leagues. They script it by this same system, coding numbers into words, or coding numbers into letters, numbers into words, and I've documented it multiple times. In the previous video, I explained a little bit more of what I think is possibly going on, but I'll leave a link to that in the description. But let's move on with this video. So, my friend Sam had texted me about, or he sent me a Facebook message about this story of the Outlaw batting against the Sheriff. And I figured, all right, I'll take a look at it. And the first thing that I noticed was that these two players are Ryan Sheriff and Kevin, however you pronounce his name, Kiermaier. And what's interesting about it is they were both born in 1990, and they were born 33 days apart. 33, the highest degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. It's a very important number in regards to a lot of these things that go on. Jesus supposedly died on the cross at the age of 33. But I also thought it was interesting that Sam is actually born in 1990 as well. So just interesting, these two players born the same year that he was born, whatever else. But Ryan Sheriff equals 147 in gematria, and Kevin Kiermaier equals 150. And that's interesting because the phrase World Series equals 147, and then the reverse method equals 150. So they both have a connection to World Series. And I don't think either one of these teams is going to be in the World Series. I don't think that the Rays or the Cardinals are going to be in the World Series. It's just something connected to this story. And this is how it has been, seemed to have been since I've been doing this. It seems like it's never truly just spot on. You have to look at what they are giving you. And the score of the game was 7-3. And Sheriff and Outlaw, if you put them together in gematria, equals 73, just like Los Angeles Dodgers. And I've been documenting a lot about the Los Angeles Dodgers and just Los Angeles in general. So, just pointing it out, I think that this story is connected to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it was even more interesting is the night before I made this post, I had changed something in a previous video that I had talked about, because I thought that the only team that would upset the Dodgers in the World Series would be the Cardinals, but I was thinking of the Diamondbacks upset the Dodgers to make the World Series. I said the Cardinals thinking of Arizona and the football team, but I meant to say the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I corrected myself, and then the next day I decided to look into the story, not even realizing it was about the Cardinals. And I pointed out St. Louis Cardinals equals 110 and 61. Minnesota equals 110. And the day that this game happened with Sheriff versus Outlaw, Minnesota won 6-1. And it was also 61 days before the World Series. If you come to my blog, which I'll leave a link in the description of this video, I've been documenting a whole bunch of my own life experiences and how there's this twin symbolism that's going on. even in the media, there's been twin stuff too. We had Jay-Z having twins in Gemini, and George Clooney having twins, during the sign of Gemini, Gemini the twins. Just lots of twin stuff. Even a story about twins being reunited with the guy who saved them in Hurricane Katrina. He was reunited with him in Houston and whatnot. But I documented this thing about some girl I hadn't seen in forever, and turns out she's a lesbian. And when I knew her, she was not a lesbian. Like, no way. But now I guess she's a lesbian and married, and she has twins. They had a surrogate or whatever, and they have twin kids. And I thought, I just found that out on a random night, and I thought, that's pretty weird. But that same night, I also talked about a friend I haven't seen forever who lives just a couple blocks away, Ryan Hamlin, and his name equals 113, and I was just thinking about the 113th World Series, and his name equals 50, twins equal 50 in reverse, my name equals 50. Just thought it was interesting, and I threw it in this post. So anyway, as I was reading the Facebook post, I started typing to Sam. I was just going to put it on Facebook, right? Born 33 days apart, whatever. And then I noticed that it said, did the sheriff win? If he did, they could have played I Fought the Law and the Law Won. And literally, right as I was reading that, the TV, and I was sitting downstairs watching, or I wasn't watching it, but I was on my computer. My daughter was watching this cartoon called The Loud House. But right as I read I Fought the Law and the Law Won, the Loud House, this girl right here said it. I fought the law and the law won. I'm like, what are the odds of that? This stuff happens to me every single day now, all of the time. But I pointed out that in regards to these guys being 33 days, born 33 days apart, police equals 33, right? And think about sheriff and outlaw. Order equals 33. Justice equals 33. This guy who commented, his name is Robert Ramos. Robert equals 33. Hit Ramos equals 33 in the reverse method. Sam, my friend who commented or showed me this post, equals 33. And he had recently just texted me before that about the eclipse and all of the 33 that happened during the eclipse. Of course, eclipse in gematria equals 33 as well. But I checked out the guy who wrote the I Fought the Law and the Law Won. I clicked on him and check it out. He's wearing the Los Angeles Dodgers shirt. Like, what are the odds of that, It's just craziness. Like, I don't even know. Some weird thing happened when I was reading this guy's post, and I click on his name, and of course, it's all about the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I think are going to be in the World Series. So I took a look at the Loud House that said the same thing that he wrote when I was reading it, and I noticed that it was the 16th episode, which is interesting because when I noticed the TV show Gravity Falls, it was also the 16th episode. If you write out 16, it equals 33. Also, the Loud House equals 54, just like baseball. MLB also equals 54 in the reverse method. And the whole point of the episode was that this kid is one of 10, or he's one boy, and there's, what is it? He has 10 sisters. So one boy and 10 sisters, a lot like 110. But I'll get into that in a second. But he gets to go to his first concert, and his sister supposedly, when she goes to all these concerts with all of her other siblings, she ruins it for them. But so whatever. He's going to his first concert, and he's going to see the band Smooch. Smooch in gematria equals 73, and also 89 in the reverse method, reduced reverse method, or just reverse. And Los Angeles Dodgers equals 73 and 89 in the reverse reduced. Just the word sheriff, the way that the Ryan sheriff is spelled. Sheriff equals 89. And his team lost to Outlaw, but in the article they talked about the Law Won because Outlaw grounded a fielder's choice when he was against him or whatever. So, just interesting. Sheriff equals 89, Los Angeles Dodgers 89, Smooch 89. I also pointed out that the episode of The Loud House was called for Bros About to Rock that equals 81, just like Arizona Diamondbacks, which I've said they're the team to upset them. I've been saying that on my blog for a while. Interesting, they just lost, or they just destroyed the Dodgers last night. So who knows. But I still think the Dodgers are going to be in the World Series. And and also, you know what, if you're wondering, the reason why I'm showing all of this is because, there's things that are connected to your own life and these weird experiences that are always synced up to the things that I'm talking about on my blog. So I decided to look up this cartoon because, I was looking into something in regards to baseball, and then I see the Dodgers thing, and then it's connected to this TV show that says the same thing at the same time. And when you look up the show, it has all these connections to the Dodgers as well. And that's what I've been documenting a whole lot. Whether it truly happens, but it did happen last year with the Indians in the World Series. So, I want to document it and just continue the study, and see how it plays out and see how these things are interrelated to my own life. I also put in here, that the the whole episode is about Lincoln and Clyde looking forward to going to their first concert, which it's bit my tongue, but which is weird. It's so weird because just last night or 2 nights ago, I was documenting some stuff about Weird Al, and Weird Al was the first concert that I had ever been to, and whatever else. I'm not going to get into it, but that's just, I don't know, it's just pretty weird. Something about a first concert. I didn't even think back on this post or whatever. But first concert in Gematria equals 150, just like World Series in reverse. So, just something to point out. But anyway, Lincoln and Clyde equals 66 and 147. The episode aired on 6/6. World Series equals 57, 66, also 147. And if you read out 33, which I mentioned above, 33 also equals 66. And of course, 33 plus 33 equals 66. Also, the TV show The Loud House is set in a fictional town called Royal Woods. Royal Woods in Gematria equals 147, just like World Series. So just interesting, this odd thing happens in connection with this show that is connected to the World Series. Also, I mentioned that the show is about a family of 1 boy and 10 girls, and the creator of the show is Christopher Mason Savino, that equals 110. 1 boy, 10 girls, a lot like 110. Lincoln equals 110 in Reverse Gematria. He's the main character of the show. Minnesota equals 110. Something I've been documenting a lot. The Twins versus the Dodgers, is a good possibility in my head or whatever. I also pointed out, too, that on the show he does have a set of twin sisters, and their names are Lana and Lola. If you write that out in Gematria, it equals 33, and in the reverse reduced way, it equals 66. Remember, 33 equals 66. So, just kind of interesting. But, like I said, just want to go through these posts. Going to end it here. I'm going to move on to a different post. The next one I talk about the Cleveland Indians. A bunch of stuff I never noticed in regards to the twin stuff, and some other stuff that was going on with the Mayweather fight, and it reminds you of Rocky. And, the Indians haven't won because of the curse of Rocky Colavito, but I'll see you in the next video. Peace. So actually, never mind. I was looking at this post, and it's super connected to the previous post, so I'm going to keep continuing on with this video. But after I had made that post about the Outlaw versus Sheriff game, I noticed that it was my 33rd post, and I talked a whole bunch about 33 in that post. And then all of a sudden, my phone started ringing, and it was my friend Pam who was calling me, and her name in Gematria equals 33. Pam Melby equals 33, and also 87 the big way. Her full name equals 150, like World Series. And if you remember in my Priest videos, She called me exactly 87 minutes after beginning my child molesting priest videos. And the word priest equals 87. I was talking about the movie Spotlight that exposes 87 priests in Boston. And whatever, the South Park episode about, priests molesting kids or whatever is the 87th episode, and it's called Red Hot Catholic Love. That equals 87 in Gematria. So it's interesting. She would call me, her name equals 87, and she called me exactly 87 minutes after beginning the post. But I made that post on the 150th day of the year, and I pointed out child molesting equals 150. That 150th day of the year this year is also 147 days before the World Series begins. And remember, World Series equals 147 and 150 in reverse. So I also went from the 150th day of the year, and I went to the day that Outlaw and Sheriff played on August 25th, a span of 87 days. Also, 2 months, 26 days, and I pointed out that Cleveland, Ohio equals 226, also 125. My friend, who was the one who even, shared this with me on Facebook, Sam Moores equals 125, like Cleveland, Ohio. His full name equals 226, like Cleveland, Ohio. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. His favorite baseball team is the Seattle Mariners. That equals the same as his name. I talked about on the 150th day of the year, the Dodgers played the Cardinals, right? And I was just mentioning about the Cardinals and the Rays playing each other. And Cleveland won 9-4, which 9-4 reminded me that last year a big deal with the Indians was the number 94. Cleveland Indians equal 94. The curse of Rocky Colavito equals 94. Um, they had 94 regular season wins. Bunch of stuff with 94 in regards to the Cleveland Indians that I'll show in a second here. But I just noticed that they won 9-4. And well, I'll just talk. I guess I wrote it in here right here. Curse of Rocky Colavito equals 94. Cleveland Indians equal 94. They had 94 regular season wins last year. If you read out 94, it equals 147, just like World Series. And in regards to 33, Cleveland also equals 33. I also put in here Rocky 5, or Rocky V, equals 94. And the reason I put this in here was because this was the same night as the McGregor versus Mayweather fight. And after I watched that fight on my laptop, I went into the bedroom and I sat in my chair, and the movie Rocky 5 was on. And I thought, what a perfect night for Rocky to be on when you have Mayweather just beating McGregor and whatnot. But Rocky 5 equals 94. And then I started thinking the curse of Rocky Colavito, Rocky and whatever else. The real life name of Tommy Gunn in Rocky 5, his name is Tommy David Morrison, that equals 94, and he died of AIDS, that equals 33. You know, and last year a big number in regards to the Indians was the number 116, and like the town that I live in equals 116, Dunlap, Iowa. And I was talking about how it's connected to the Native Americans in the area that I live and whatever else. And I've just been seeing 116 a whole lot. So it makes me wonder if all of the twin stuff is somehow interrelated into the Cleveland Indians being in the World Series. The Loud House episode was season 1, episode 16, a lot like 116. A while back, I talked a whole bunch about Jay-Z and his connections to Twins, but also his connections to Brooklyn, right, where the Dodgers used to play. But I can't even remember his 444 album. I think it came out 116 days before the World Series. I could be wrong. I have to go back and look at my stuff, but I think it was 116 days before the World Series. I talked about the movie Despicable Me 3 that had, it was all about Gru's twin and whatnot. Anyway, in regards to the 113th World Series, Curse of Rocky Colavito equals 113 in the reversed reduced method. And Rocky Colavito's real name, Rocco Domenico Colavito Jr., also equals 113, the 113th World Series. He was born in the year 33, so he just turned 84 years old. The word Jesuit equals 84. All year I've been talking about how the World Series will be connected to the Jesuits and whatnot. That's what eventually got me going on the Twins, because Minnesota Twins equals 84, just like Jesuit. The curse of Minnesota Twins also equals 60 in the regular reduced way, and the curse of Rocky Colavito began in the year 1960. So, just makes me wonder if somehow the Twins are interrelated to the Indians, or if it's vice versa. Maybe it really is for the Twins and the Indians. The Rocky stuff is connected to the Twins, but the Indians have all of a sudden been on a huge roll and whatnot. But I guess I documented that before they started this big old streak too. So let's see here. I also pointed out just Rocky equals 72, and the main character in the movie Rocky 5 is Tommy Morrison. That equals 72 in the regular reduced and also 72 in the reverse reduced. And this was right around the time of Hurricane Harvey. And the Rocky Colavito curse is because Rocky Colavito got traded to Detroit for Harvey Keene, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And this was a big deal in regards to the Aroldis Chapman trade last year. And Aroldis Chapman was born on 2/28, the same day that this guy died, in 1988. And the Cubs were all about 88. Cursive, the Billy Goat equaled 88. And also this trade, thinking about it now, this hadn't happened at the time, but the Houston Astros just got Justin Verlander from Detroit or whatever, reminding me of the trade to Detroit for Rocky Colavito. So even more convincing in my head that it's actually for the Indians to be in the World Series. The curse was also 57 years, 6 months, and 7 days before the 113th World Series. And the Indians haven't won the World Series since the year 48 on 10/11 of 1948. And that was when Lou Boudreau was on the team. Lou Boudreau died on August 10th at the age of 84, like Jesuit. He died on Rocky Colavito's 68th birthday, August 10th, right? And that can also be written 10/8. That was another reason why it was so significant to the Chicago Cubs last year and the Indians being in the World Series. The Chicago Cubs hadn't won for 108 years. The Willis Tower 108 stories. I mean, the 108 stuff was all over the place. And Rocky Colavito turned 84 years old on August 10th this year. Like Jesuit, Lou Boudreau died at age 84 on Rocky Colavito's 68th birthday, and this year, Rocky Colavito turned 84 on the anniversary of Lou Boudreau dying. And so the curse was 57 years, 6 months, 7 days before the World Series this year. World Series equals 57. Cleveland Indians equals 67. But also, the Indians haven't won since the year 48, which was 69 years, 13 days before the 113th World Series. World Series in the reverse reduced method equals 69. So it would be fitting for them to break the curse 69 years later. Also, in regards to last year and the connection to the Cubs, Lou Boudreau in 1960, the year of the curse of Rocky Colavito, he coached the Cubs for 1 season before he left or whatever. So there was all kinds of stuff connected to Lou Boudreau. We had the closest supermoon since the year 48, and that was the last time the Indians had won the World Series. 1948 was also the year of the biggest election upset in American history, and then Donald Trump just created the new biggest election upset in American history. Donald Trump equals 48 in gematria. I also looked up the song I Fought the Law and the Law Won or whatever. That song came out on Harvey Keene's birthday, December 4th, 1960. So The song "I Fought the Law" came out on the guy who cursed the Indians or whatever on his 30th birthday. 30 is the 30th prime is 113, the 113th World Series. This happens in 19 That song came out in 1960, the same year that the curse began. Another thing that I didn't point out, I guess, was the same day I made this post, the Indians got their 72nd win. And that's why it was so significant up here. The Indians got their 72nd win. And I showed Tommy Morrison equals 72, Rocky equals 72. And also on May 30th, the 150th day of the year, the Astros beat the Twins, or the, yeah, Astros beat the Twins 7-2, you know. A lot of 72. And Dodgers in Gematria also equals 72. Let's see here. I pointed out too that Rocky 5 came out the day after Sam was born in the year 1990. 90 equals 33 and 87. Another thing too. So the Indians got their 72nd win this day, and they beat the Royals, and the Royals became 64 and 64. And the Outlaw versus Sheriff game, I noticed that the Rays got their 64th win, and it made the Cardinals 64 and 64. Not sure what it means, but just interesting to point out. Also, the same day of making this post, the Cardinals won 6-4. So, just interesting. And I guess I wrote in here, it wouldn't surprise me with the Indians in regards to the World Series in light of all the Civil War stuff or civil rights stuff. The Charlottesville thing was super connected to the Dodgers as well. It was a Dodge that rammed them. I'm going to talk about that later because we had the Rams that are in Los Angeles now, and also the Chargers that are in Los Angeles. And a lot of people thought that it was a Dodge Charger. There's a whole lot more that goes along with that. But this video is already super long and people are already lost anyway. But civil rights equals 64. The Civil Rights Act passed in the year 64 by Lyndon B. Johnson that equals 64. He died age 64. I also pointed out Boston Red Sox in the reverse reduced equals 64. And then I was thinking about Boston and the Priest stuff in the movie Spotlight. So who knows. But I don't think it's connected. I don't think it's for Boston. The Indians coach Terry Francona, though, did break the 86-year curse of the Red Sox. So possibly he's going to break the curse of Rocky Colavito as well. And remember, Kyrie Irving has gematria of 147 and 150 in reverse, just like World Series. And the same day that he got traded for Isaiah Thomas or whatever, the Indians were playing the Red Sox. So, no coincidence. So, in regards to Rocky Colavito turning 84 on August 10th, I figured I would go look at the games on August 10th. And on August 10th, the Twins, that was the day that, well, it's April 17th, but on August 10th, that was the day the Twins got their 57th win in their 113th game. Remember, World Series equals 57. It's the 113th World Series. So, they were the only team to do that, too. The only team to get their 57th win in their 113th game. So, it just makes me wonder, is it showing me the curse of Rocky Colavito, or is it truly showing the Twins? I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if it really is for the Indians, but we'll see. It's got to be. I feel like it's one of them two teams, and they're going to play the Dodgers. I also pointed out on the anniversary of the Curse of Rocky Colavito this year, April 17th, the Indians played the Twins, and the Indians won 3-1. Also, the movie Major League that played a big part in last year's World Series. In Major League 3, the film was about the Minnesota Twins, and it came out on the 38th anniversary of the Curse of Rocky Colavito, April 17th, 1998. So, interesting. Minnesota equals 38. Also 110. Major League back to the minors. That's all about Minnesota. It equals 110 in Gematria. And also pointed out it makes sense that Rocky Colavito was traded to the Detroit Tigers because Rocky Colavito equals 169, just like Detroit Tigers. I pointed out too Harvey Keene died 2 months, 24 days after his birthday. Floyd Mayweather, born on 2/24. His name equals 224 in reverse. Rocky Balboa, he was born 110 days before the World Series. Minnesota equals 110. So, I think I'll just leave it at that. Wanted to show a bunch of this Indian stuff and just all these just weird coincidences that lead me to find some of this stuff. So, peace out.